river is at its origin and its destination simultaneously, right? So it's about the journey of the river and the life of a river. And a river and the life of a river flows through a community. And a community also has a life and a health. And I think the more closely you can be in contact with the river, the healthier your community can be. Don't you wonder what that's like in there? I mean, it's like walking down a country road. Don't you want a little kayak or canoe or something to go up there and see what's happening in that place? I mean, you'd feel like you're completely alone, like you're the first one. You'd be looking at things that no man had ever seen, you know? And a prothonotary warbler would come in, or a band of them would roll through, or a swallowtail kite would hunt some dragonflies overhead.
Are they dangerous? They're not threatening.
I think at 150 miles, 75 miles of this has been preserved. More than half the river or so, or at least declared a scenic river classification, and much of it, as we cruise through here, is conserved on both sides. That's the problem with river conservation, is you got to buy both sides of the river, right?
Amen.
One of the things I do is I study the history to see where we came from and remind us of that sort of thing. But when I look at when the French tried to settle here, and the Spanish tried to settle here, and the British tried to settle here, and it didn't work. This would be like St. Helena Sound down around Beaufort. And then finally, when they came ashore under Charles II in 1670, and they made it work, they had figured out that the value of this colony wasn't the gold that the Spanish were seeking. The value has always been the land and the water. You know, and we got water here like Saudi Arabia's got oil. Right. You know, it's like this is not a common thing to have on Earth. And but the value deriving from the land, like you can cut that tree down and sell it once, or you could sell it 1,000 times if it's part of your ecotourism economic model. You know, a sustainable, renewable education model that's tied to the health of the environment, and the health of the environment tied to the health of the communities that support the river corridor, like where we are now. But it's always been the land. It's never not been the land in South Carolina that was the derivation of not just great wealth, but sort of human prosperity, right?
Dr. Wright was saying when we were about to go out to the press conference, she was telling the governor, you know, access to this river won't just be for recreation for our community. There are plenty of people that help support their family by fishing this river, and having more places to fish, you know, will be an important part of the economy.
The natural setting that we have, and the lack of access is the reason it's this way. I mean, we're talking about granting more public access, especially in Williamsburg County. So there's the real challenge of how do you balance between keeping things the way it is, but yet changing it enough to make it accessible to everyone, where everyone can enjoy so much more of it.
Right. A good problem to solve. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, that common goal, you know, I tell you, got some of the smartest people I've ever met thinking about it, you know, and you could be one of the smartest people I ever met. I just hadn't known you long enough.
I think as people are educated comes respect, and when visitors respect the river, they're not going to leave trash. I think people like us that come out here, we're not going to leave any trash. So I think as people are, and children, young people are educated, respect will come with that, and I think they will protect this river.
I grew up out in nature, and I grew up in a farm area, but it changes your life and your perspective and your, you know, we know folks who never leave home, they never leave asphalt, and their world is just so bound. But you put somebody out in nature and let them, I mean, philosophy, sociology, everything comes out with nature.
And then science.
Yeah, and especially science.
Brain science.
Yeah.
The kids learn more,
Yeah.
better, retain more, better if it's happening outside, especially when they're active. And these kids that are showing up are local kids, and they look more like you than they do like me.
Right.
And they get on the river scared of alligators and snakes and drowning, and those are, you know, some
That's
of those
our
are real
culture,
risks.
right.
And they get off the water, and it's like they had just landed on the moon. They can't believe it. They have conquered something. They have a new echelon of what's
Imagine the
possible.
next time their science teacher talks about ecosystems or something, they would have just said, but now,
They can see it.
yeah, or yeah, life changing.
Yeah, they got something. Yeah, let's do that. That's a good point. Let's just be quiet for a second and hear. That's a real good point. Not a